So after taking the zones and getting our little troop through the gap to take out these northern areas, the deceitful little lightning hoods have decided to retake the areas below. So it looks like we're going to have to forego attacking the north for the moment and retake these areas. Otherwise they're just going to basically keep marching through all of our little areas here. Or potentially I've got to send one of our groups out from here to attack those areas, but that's a little annoying. I do want to clean these areas up first though, so I think I'll carry on and clean these areas up. So what we'll see next, I think, will be a little bit of a montage of me destroying out these areas and then coming back in for the bigger fights down here. It's a bit annoying that the Grey Talons are allowing the lightning hoods to go through their lands. Hopefully the new AI campaign system will mean the Grey Talons will attack the lightning hoods if they go through their area. after a little bit of frustration with physics, where my ships were wheeling around, going flying up or going under the water, and my subs stopped working, etc., I've decided to bring in the Littorio, which had finished building, and also a new ship to the system, which we had not had a look at, which is the Guiseppe. So the Guiseppe here, if I just go on board, is basically a condottiere cruiser. So it survived World War II, and what they did is they removed the rear guns and replaced it with a missile system. So this is aimed to be an anti-aircraft ship. You can see that it's got also quite a few of the 76mm AA guns that are very common with the French and a lot of ships now, that act as AA guns. Plenty of those on each side. There's no secondary weapons, so it's purely relying upon generally on these weapons, the main weapons here, and the missiles. And the missile, just to add a little bit of fun to it, is a multi-part missile. So it's based upon the US Terrier system. Now that only had 2 missiles, but because missiles aren't that powerful in this game, I've given it 4. And what we've got is we've got some more on the side here, but we'll look at these ones here. We have some missiles inside, if I just go and have a look, which are active radar seeking, relatively nimble, target prediction, and they've got a cluster munition. Now these have a range of about 1.5 to 2000 K. So when they are actually contained in the main rocket is a booster. This gets it up to a pretty reasonable speed and will eject that contained missile when the system gets within 900 meters. 900 meters. Sorry, yeah, 1,000 meters, and or start if it starts going away, or after 19 seconds, which is about 2.5 to 3,000 meters. So it's got an overall range of around 4 to 4,500 meters. Now I could have done this with lots of small missiles, which I might do on a future one, but I wanted the big impact of the missile when it hits. The other unique feature on this is in the real Guiseppe, it actually had launchers for Polaris missiles. So I have put a few large missiles down on here. So these are some significant size, again a contained missile with a warhead. So these are a long range container which actually then contains these missiles here, which is the warhead, which is an explosive remote guided warhead. So nothing, we don't have nuclear munitions, but it could be quite interesting in general when we get into a battle, when these fire out and launch. So we'll be having a look at the Littorio and the Guiseppe in a battle next, I think, against one of the big 200 point areas down the south next, and let's see how that goes. And hopefully I'll have less problems with physics. I've taken the subs out, I've left them separately. Let's just hope we get a slightly cleaner battle that can come up on the video. So it looks like the lightning hoods are going to be coming into us. There's a small force which has decided to try and attack us, so lots of aircraft, so this could be a good time to see how the Guiseppe works in this battle. So our missile has been launched, the Terrier's on its way from the Guiseppe. We'll see if I can keep up with it, because it gets up to quite a high speed. It is laser guided actually through its first stage. There it has. It has now split, and the main warhead is heading out onto the target. I can just see it. Another one there has split. One went for a decoy and one did a nice hit there on the target, which is good. There's a third and there's a fourth. Did a fair bit of damage, I think, to that ship, which is a good, and split it in half. Oh yes, that was nice. And now it looks like the guns are going to be giving it a go. We'll check what's happening on the Littorio. Littorio took a fair old missile barrage there, I think. There's a few blocks of damage, but its secondaries are having a go at these surges coming through. And check what the other side is up to as well. Took a bit of damage, I think, there from a missile swarm from one of them. I'm not sure. I think there was some other non-aerial targets out there, but there was certainly a bit of an initial missile bombardment. And on the Guiseppe here, we see the main missiles didn't fire because there's no surface targets. It tends to try and fire at surface targets. Its other missiles are waiting to reload. So these are small versions of what is the Tartar missile system, which was a slightly closer in. So you'll see there isn't a ejector on these. They have the same active radar, but they have a slight the extra fragmentation warhead because it doesn't need the ejector munition. The secondary guns on here are a nice 76mm gun, and they do fire at a significant rate of fire when loaded. 130 rounds per minute from 4 of those. Should do reasonably well, and yeah, we've got the usual having a little disagreement as to where ships should be. Maybe problematic. Well, we survived that. Inconclusive in some ways, just showed that, as usual, things like crashing into each other, but otherwise we did survive. Next, on to the main battle, which is the 200 spot, so we'll give that a bit of a bash next. Like, we have some large enemy vessels, a couple of razors, and these aren't Caspians. What are they? Not a big mass missile barrage coming in here. So these are the Thunderbirds. Our go against us. And Razor Mauls. So yeah, this could be somewhat interesting. They're obviously going for the Littorio with a big missile barrage, which is going to cause it quite a bit of damage. The Terrier has fired now at one of the targets. It's going for a target over here, and it's fired the smaller Tartars at the Razor Mauls that are a little closer. So the laser guidance is keeping these Terrier missiles on the selected target through the initial closing phase, so that it doesn't get pulled away by another target by the radar. I like this. I like this use of the multi-missile, and then they split up at the necessary range, and the warhead effectively speeds up and goes into target lock mode. You can see it's trying to chase the target. In actual fact, I think some of it may have locked onto something else, which is a bit annoying. They actually did. They didn't follow the main target. They ended up turning around and going for this Razor Maul, which is not what I want. So in this is where I've done another one which uses infrared, which has more effect of where it's actually pointed. They did hit, which is good, but that's not the target I wanted them to go for. So let's see how other things are doing here. So one Razor Maul in the water, couple couple more Thunderbirds. They are tending to go for the Littorio. Looks like we've got an Ampere which is colliding into us. Again, not too worried about that. Oh, it's had quite a bit of damage inflicted here on the Littorio. They've obviously made their way through and taken out the main guns, which is not good. Secondaries are still firing, but it's now struggling, I think, to keep up. Let's see, power is a little bit low, but okay. Rear gun is okay, but got no target, or at least isn't firing at anything. Secondaries are firing on one side at least. Yeah, it's being a complete damage soak at this time. Trying to take in, there's lots of missiles coming in, and obviously cannot intercept all those missiles fast enough with the standard missile interceptors. So whilst it sucks up the punishment, I think it will be up to the cruisers, which are turning upside down, although Razor Maul's got one of them, and trying to collide with each other. So we've got the points advantage. We're going to bring in most but not all of the ships. There'll be a, looks like, a couple of cruisers. What are we going to come in with first? It's not as easy to tell on this. So we've got the destroyer will come in. Guiseppe, that one destroyer. Okay, so we haven't got as many as I would like, but we've got the main ships, and they're going to come out with lots. So we'll start on the battleship, I think, for this one. Let's start the battle. So immediately a lot of incoming missiles, which is going to cause us a lot of damage. Couldn't put enough out there, I think, to stop these Razor Maul missiles as well as everything else. Now hopefully the Guiseppe will send out a good amount of anti-air. Our main guns hopefully will get a good chance to fire at the Eclipse, etc. here. Yep, we're getting some good damage in here. Is that the Eclipse or Ampere? I think it went in for this Ampere. That's fine, because this might even be a megawatt actually. Let's just see. Megawatt. So it's going against the megawatt, which is good because that's a very dangerous little target. And yeah, those semi-armor piercing, I think are going to be ripping the insides out on this with any luck. Yeah, there's a fair bit of damage already on the inside there, I think, as these armor piercings come in to attack it. Murphy's Law says I'm not going to see one hit just whilst I've got it in here. Guiseppe is concentrating on the big targets. Didn't launch its big missiles, unfortunately. We still haven't seen a launch of them, which is a bit disappointing. All the secondaries and AAs are having a go. That Razor Maul seems to have got pulled into the water. The Eclipse on the rear, we're a bit shy of weaponry on the rear. We've got a couple of secondary guns that can fire to the rear, but that's about it, apart from these missiles. One of which seems to be a bit stuck for some reason. Oh no, that is correct. It is just out of ammo at this moment. A bit low on ammo, I think, if anything, the Guiseppe. Ooh, this Razor Maul is coming in here. I think that needs to be changed to be a priority target, I think.
Engaging now.
Let's see if we can get the main guns to give this a blattering. Oh, no, looks like the Razor Maul is mauling. That's not good.
Engage now.
I'll see if I can get that other Razor out of the sky. So we'll set all the other ships to target that as a priority. See if we can get this one. This one, as soon as if this one lets go and disappears for a second, then we will retarget it as a priority as well. It's not letting go at this moment. It may have its hooks in. It's got some cables in there. That's done a significant amount of damage. Giuseppe is still having a good go at that Razor Maul. Everything is firing and seems to be hitting and doing reasonable damage on that Razor Maul. Hopefully that other one, which is just like a tick on the back of the Littorio, will let go at some point. And we've got a launch of one of the Polaris, and it's going straight up, which is its first part of its launch. It then will do a turnover and aim at a target. With any luck, it's now doing its turn. So it goes very high, as you can see. It goes very high. It's turning, it does its turn, and now I can't find where it is now. Let's just go up here and see if we can find where it's actually going to come into. Oh, there it is. It's coming down again. So this has a very ballistic trajectory, as you can see. And it basically fires against very slow. And it's going in there against whatever that was. I think it might be an eclipse or a tail what. Let's see if it does actually release. That looked like it was a hit there from one of the Polaris. So I would like to make the warheads a little bit more damaging, but these weren't actually Polaris missiles. The Italians actually, there's another one coming, actually didn't receive the Polaris, so they built their own Alpha missile system, which was a sort of a copy of the Polaris, but with Italian technology, basically. It did have a nuclear warhead. There was a nuclear version. I'm sure there was a tactical, but this is sort of working quite well, actually. I put a lot of EMP and HE into these. Yeah, they fire very high, and then at their ballistic curve it releases the submunition, which is actually what goes and does the damage, as you saw. So that worked. Good to see that actually working. We've got one left. They take a while to reload, as you can imagine. There is one left if we see something else nice and slow that's a good target for it. And as soon as this one's in the water, let's get everyone to target it and destroy it whilst it's in the water, please.
Engaging now.
Got some torpedoes in from a destroyer, which are now deciding to collide. But okay, one Razor Maul down. Now they can concentrate on the other targets. You seem to be chewing through them actually now. What's the what are you going for now? This is its little targeting system, so he's going for the eclipse over there by the looks of it. Got the secondaries, and these are the targeting systems for the primaries and the secondaries. So the primaries are targeting over there, and we've got a secondary, and we have some flying destroyers again. Can't seem to get away from those bloody things, no matter what I do to try and resolve that. I'll have to try another little fix on some of the... I think once you get above a certain speed, it just... physics seem to stop working, and they automatically become airplanes instead of boats. I might actually have to slow them down just to stop them becoming aircraft. Right, we've got a load of these flashes, which is where that incoming missile barrage came from, and I think they took out one of my front guns. Yes, they did. Oh, nasty, nasty ships. Go on, get them, secondaries. Looks like the cruiser destroyers are coming in to have a go at them now, and the main guns as well. Go on, have a go at them. Take them out. And the semi-armor piercing main guns have done a good job at coring through a good portion of this eclipse, I think. Those 15-inch semi-armor piercing do tend to hit nicely, shall we say. Now we're running a little bit low on resources now on the ships. The battle's gone on a fair bit longer, and I think he's needed to, as well as do a lot of repairs, and it's also a lot of power required for the shields. So it's burnt through the resources quite considerably. Let's just see if there's anyone else who's got any resources available. No, we're all very short of resources. Hopefully we'll pick some up from the battle. But we're going to need to return to port, I think, to refuel and rearm after this battle. We're near the end. They've only got a couple of ships left, I think, now. A couple of maybe flyers, I think. And then we should be finishing. That's what we like to see. Sheer destruction from some cannon fire. It certainly seems if they get slow, they are quite more than capable of destroying the enemy ships. And although we have taken that zone, I'm actually going to bring the fleet back to our base for repair and resupplies. I feel it's not going to be suitable for moving forward. It used a lot more materials than I would have expected. I think Littorio getting its turret hit didn't help, and I think to combat that I need some ships to muck around with the fleet distribution, put some ships out in front of it just to shoot down any incoming missiles a little bit more. But at the moment the Littorio is generally in front of the fleet, I think you'll see here, and I think I need to move maybe one of these up. Let's move that one up to a forward flanking, and that one's slightly rearward flanking, and the two destroyers, change them to be slightly flanking but inside. That way maybe their missiles will get a chance to defend the ship. I'll put those ones on a slightly wider flank. There we go. Next time we go into battle, but we're going to pull them back to the base. The other issue is that we seem to have a lot of land area here. So I'm thinking that we're going to need, it's going to be a problem for the ships to take over these squares, as an example here and down below, with so much land. We're going to need an air force. And that might mean either just do a plain air force or maybe put a carrier in there. I think this will be maybe something for the Marine Nationale to come in with for a change. I think we might change their makeup. They've got the Fantastic, which is an okay cruiser. I think they might need something to go onto the very much air front. So that might be something I can have a build with to just have a bit of fun and calm myself down, clear my head. This has taken a little while to get through this particular video. A lot of physics issues, shall we say. coming through on this particular campaign build, so that's fine. Got through it eventually. I'll now do a bit of building, and I might clear out some of these squares, but yeah, we'll see how it goes forward. Any suggestions of aircraft? I think I'm going to do a carrier, French carrier, and then some French marine aircraft, maybe some of the early 1960s, well, between 50s to 70s planes. We'll look at what are some of the iconic aircraft used in the Marine Nationale Air Forces on their carriers, and maybe build some to take on the Lightning Hoods planes and ships. So that's it for now. Once again, heading back to base for some repair and resupply. There's still some damage here on the Littorio, needs a bit of work, and we'll need to get some I'll need to get some resources into Taranto El Kabir to repair the ships, and then we can maybe also look at clearing out some of those other frontal areas before we put in a French force to do the main attack over the land areas, land-based areas, with a marine air force. So, as always, leave any comments down below, but above all, keep playing the game and have fun.